called the seed and nut bread. Just hang on a tick. I just need to press something on my computer now that it's getting recorded.
Oh, yeah, it's me. I'm sorry. I'm all over the shop today.
That's okay. I'm a very short person, so yes, I don't have long arms either. So back to what we're cooking. So seed and nut bread. And I love this because it is gluten-free. So nice and easy on the tummy if you do try to stick away from gluten or you can't have flour for whatever reason, and it's full of goodness with the seeds and nuts, etc. So we're going to get started. I'm going to hit start cooking. Now it's asking me to preheat the oven and grease a tin. So I do have a tin already greased and lined with some baking paper, but I've actually already pre-made this one because it does take 45 to 50 minutes in the oven. So it does take a little time to cook, and it can be served warm, or you can have it the next day cold, or you can heat it up, however you'd like to have it. So the first thing we're going to do is mill some raw almonds. So I've just got 150 grams of almonds here. Now, the Thermomix is incredible. You're going to see how well it can mill seeds, nuts, etc. So I'm going to pop this, just going to tear that and pop my 150 grams in, pop the lid on. Next, this is quite loud, so if you do have little kids around, I often shift them to another room or I give them a little bit of a warning. So it's not going to take too long, just 10 seconds. Hopefully over Zoom you didn't have to hear the noise, so that's good. Okay, we'll take the lid off. And here we go. So in 10 seconds, we have beautiful almond meal. And I buy my almonds insecticide free. That's a little bit cheaper than buying organic, and they're a lot better. Buy them in bulk, put them in the freezer, and then when I need them, they come out and I can make almond meal for an absolute fraction of the cost if I were to buy it already as almond flour. We'll hit next. We need 70 grams of melted coconut oil. Pop that in. Next. Now, we've got lots of tablespoons of a whole variety of different seeds and bits and pieces. And a little tip that I'd recommend is when you do this dish and make this, grab a couple of jars and actually, when you are measuring out everything, also measure out some portions in those jars for next time. So you can keep a bit of a nut seed bread mix, so to speak, in jars with all the dry ingredients. So next time you want to make it, you can have all of that ready to go, and then you just add your wet ingredients. So I think that's a really good tip because there's quite a few bits and pieces that go into this one.
It makes a great snack too, just to grab out already pre-done.
Yeah, it does. And actually my inspiration for picking this one tonight was because when I've got 5 children, and when I had my number 4 bubby, someone actually made me a loaf like this for when I had the baby, you know, being a hungry breastfeeding mum. And it was just so great. I was so ravenous, so hungry. And this is a really great thing to be able to snack on guilt-free, and it's full of goodness. So I've got sesame seeds, so a tablespoon of those. A tablespoon of flax seeds, a tablespoon, of chia seeds, and 80 grams of roughly chopped walnuts. So you don't have to go too crazy. We're going to mill it up, but just give them a rough little chop. And 80 grams into there. I did a bit over, but that's totally fine. Now it's asking me for a teaspoon of bicarb soda. Now I've actually put this in with the coconut flour just for the purposes of tonight. So 25 grams of coconut flour and the bicarb. And it wants 6 eggs, which I have already cracked separately, as Tracy mentioned before. You don't want to be doing a recipe with a huge quantity of eggs and have one that's no good and wrecks the batch. So do crack them separately, and we'll pop those in. And a tablespoon of pure maple syrup. I love maple syrup as a sweetener option. I buy this bulk. This is another thing that I buy bulk organically, and it lasts for ages, and it is so much cheaper. And it's a sweetener I use a lot in the kids' cooking as well. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. This one I am going to measure out. Just be careful when you're measuring things over the bowl. I have been known to accidentally put too much in. That is not good.
I'm gonna do a little story now, because I put far too much cream in that pastry, and I'm thinking, oh, is it gonna work? And it did. Not my first batch. The batch I did at home today was perfect. The one I did on camera, because I do get nervous when I do these things. It was about 50 over, and it still worked. So it's forgiven.
Yeah, look, a lot of recipes are forgiving. Apple cider vinegar, I feel like Tracy isn't forgiving. My husband substituted white wine in a risotto the other night, and I'm just so proud of him. He uses the Thermi a lot. It was amazing. He saw in the tips down below in the recipe preview that you could substitute apple cider vinegar, probably just a little bit too much. So anyway.
I would say so. There's probably one thing you don't want too much of.
Yeah, we learned. Yeah, we did. So just a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, sea salt, and then we're going to mix all this up. 5 seconds, and that is going to be done.
I haven't made this one, Adeline, but that's really easy. Sort of just throw it all in the bowl, mix, and pop it in the tin.
Absolutely. The hardest part about it was probably just measuring out all the millions of nuts and seeds or whatever. That's why I just said about that little tip of, just measuring a few out, and then that way, if you're hungry and you need
so good.
Yep.
I'm going to have to try this one, because I haven't done it either.
There we go. That's the mixture there. So we're just going to scrape down and pour it in. I probably need to bring this back so you can see me do this.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
See that okay?
Yep.
Great. And then this is ready for the oven. Now, once you do that, I won't tip it over because it is quite of a runny consistency. And then just grab some pumpkin kernels or pumpkin seeds, whatever you'd like to call them. And I just sprinkle and scatter them along the top. And I will show you the end result when we come back and how beautiful that actually looks when it comes out.
That looks really good. I'm surprised how, it's quite a thin mix. Isn't it, pouring it in?
It is. It actually was a little bit thicker today when I made it, Trace. So I don't know whether that's to do with the eggs or, but yeah, it's going to come out beautiful. It's going to be nice and moist, so not dry, because I think sometimes when you do make seed nut breads, you don't want it to be dry.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Just another thing, because I've mucked up.
Yep.
So I'm going to just add my spotlight, because you're up next, because it's meant to go to my to go to my smoked salmon quiche, but you know what? I've already done it. So
thank the Lord that I have a second bowl then, Trace.
Yes.
I actually need 3 for my family, to be honest. So yes, that it would be great. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd need 3. But it's awesome. So my next dish is going to be a Victoria sponge. And my inspiration for this for Mother's Day is because this is something my beautiful grandma, my dad's mother on the farm, used to make all the time. So it's probably a bit of a specialty to make a sponge these days, but back then, you know, for grandma, it was her bread and butter. It's what she did, and she did it so, so well. So when I think of Mother's Day, when I think about the women that have inspired me in my life, she is definitely one of the girls that comes to my mind. So we're going to head back into, now I've got these recipes in my week, so they're really nice and easy to go back to and find. I'm going to hit Victoria's Sponge, start cooking. Now it's just asking me, do you want to start a new recipe? So I actually was in the other recipe still, and all I need to do is say, yes, I want to jump out, thanks. And you can jump to your to a new one. It's asking me to preheat the oven. It's asking me to grease and line 2 20-centimeter springform pans. Now I only have one springform. I had this other one that I cook a lot of birthday cakes in that has a little bottom that comes up. That's fine. Just be careful when you take it out, but it works. Okay, we want 170 grams of unsalted butter cut into pieces. So let's get all this.
So also, just while you're getting that ready, if anyone on tonight would like a second or third bowl, I know Jill's on tonight and she's been waiting for me to get on my feet so we can do a demo. So we're going to book that in, Jill. We're going to get you your second bowl. Please reach out to your consultant to book in a demo. You know, if someone purchases at your cooking experience, you can get the new bowl for like $110 rather than $400. Great, great offer. Absolutely fantastic. So it is only available until the 12th of May. So I would suggest you jump in and book in the next 5 or 6 days.
That's right. And Tracy, I've got a lot of customers who are trying to work out how to fit it in. So another option is if you would like a virtual cooking experience, we can also do that for you if coming over isn't doable in between that time. So yeah, it is such a great offer to take advantage of.
Absolutely. Or come online. Tonight we've got a few guests on tonight that have been invited by others, which is absolutely awesome.
Yep. Okay, so 170 grams. Now, today I did this with butter straight out of the fridge and it hadn't had time to really come to room temperature, and I probably would recommend room temperature. You'll see in a moment because we're going to cream the butter with some sugar. So 170, just check that's my sugar because the sugar and flour look quite similar in these white bowls. And we're going to pop the lid on and we're going to cream that up. Now the Thermomix makes things like creaming butter so super simple. And maybe for young mums of my generation, I really appreciate things being able to be done efficiently, effectively, and quickly.
Absolutely. It's called, you know, multitasking at its best. So for that 30 seconds that you're not standing there with the mixer, you could be grabbing a drink for the little one, or, you know, it's all about time. It's all about efficiency, isn't it?
Absolutely. I should have been washing my spatula, Trace, because that's what I need. All right. Oh, that looks amazing. So there we go. Beautifully creamed butter. Yeah. And now we're going to add in, we're going to just scrape down the sides first. Now, those of you that are TM6 owners, you will know all about the wonderful butterfly whisk attachment that we have for the Thermomix. This little beauty is used for adding air into batters and things, whipping cream, whipping egg whites. And in this case, it's going to give us an absolutely beautiful batter consistency. So I'm going to pop this in. Hopefully in your deliveries, you were all told how to insert the butterfly whisk correctly. So it sits behind the sharp part of the blade on the highest blade. I hope that kind of makes sense, but it is important to pop it in correctly so that it doesn't fly off, and we never mix over speed 4 with the butterfly whisk. That's just so that it doesn't fly off and the blades chop it all up, and that's happened. So these things can happen if we don't do the right thing.
they're great tips. And, you know, there's a lot of information on delivery briefing, so it's good to have these tips and come along to these classes to learn different things or be refreshed on them, definitely.
Yeah. Rightio, 3 eggs. So yep. I've already cracked them, made sure that they're good. Next, we're just adding in all the rest. So I've got self-raising flour that's going in.
Did you have to sift that before? Because I know a lot of sponge cakes have to be sifted and sifted.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't, Tracy, and the recipe doesn't call for that.
Wow.
And I think that they've come out really well. But it would be really interesting to know if it makes a difference. But you'll see what the batter looks like whipped up with the butterfly whisk, and it looks beautiful. Okay.
You know, I'm gonna make one of these tomorrow.
Yeah, a tablespoon of baking powder, which I've already put in there, and a tablespoon of bicarb soda, which I've already popped in there. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I am going to do this one now. Look, you can guess. You don't have to really measure this one, but it's up to you. If you think you know what a good teaspoon of vanilla essence is, you just go pour in. Okay, next, popping the lid on. Next, and we've got 1:30, and we are going to mix that up on speed 4. Now, I'm actually just going to take this off and have a little look. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it on. Sorry, today the flour came up. Today, the butter wasn't quite soft enough, and it hadn't quite creamed with the sugar yet. So the butterfly whisk wouldn't actually turn, and I could hear that the Thermomix didn't like it. So I immediately stopped, had a look in, took out the butterfly whisk. I just whipped everything up with just the blades, and it rectified it. Butterfly whisk back in, and then we whipped up into the beautiful batter that we're going to see in a minute. So yeah, awesome. Room temperature butter.
Yep. Great tip. And they're the little things. That's what we love about sharing this, and the ideas for gifts and things. Imagine, like, you've got some beautiful bakeware there. You are about to earn yourself the rose gold bakeware very shortly, the way you're going. So it's absolutely beautiful. We have a whole range on the Mix shop. Or we actually have gift vouchers too. So if people want to, you know, do that last minute gift for Mother's Day, we do have gift vouchers as well.
I actually can't hear you, Trace, because of the cleaning.
Oh, that's right. Then I'll just keep talking. That's fine. So we have the spring form tins. We have the muffin tins. We've got baking trays. You name it, we have it. So check out the Mix shop. Make sure you put in your consultant name when you check out, because they do get a little bit of a kickback and a commission, which is always good to help our businesses grow. But I'd love to know how many people here have actually made a sponge in their Thermomix. I'd be really interested to know and how it turned out. I know my sister she converted a sponge recipe and it went viral there for a while. It's on the recipe community as Sandra's Sponge. So if you want to check that out. Em had one. What recipe did you use, Em? And Diana Pikes had one. I'd love to know what recipes they'd used. Trish Hurley's done this one. Oh,
here's
wow.
The batter, everyone. I don't know if it does it justice over Zoom, but it just looks so silky smooth.
It looks, from where I'm sitting, it's very shiny and very mega smooth.
Very shiny, very smooth, really beautiful. And I actually got to cook this today. My husband took all the children out. So there was no children to lick the butterfly whisk, which is such a shame. So I actually had to do it. Oh, yeah, that was tough. And I flipped it in my hair just like I did just then.
Yeah.
As well. No, it's delicious. It was so yummy. Yeah, it was really great. So then, actually, I'll pull this back again. This bit's pretty self-explanatory. We just pop half the mixture in each tin, and I will do the other one.
And looks, sorry, go on, Adela.
See it, Trace? Sorry.
it looks like a few people have tried this recipe and love it.
Yep.
And we've had they've done the sponge with the Leamington recipe, and it was very nice as well. So thank you for those tips. Awesome.
Yum.
I think there might be a few sponges getting around this week.
Yeah.
So make sure you share it on your consultants page when you've made them. You know, they do appreciate input.
Now, if you want to take it to the next level, which I haven't done for us tonight, but you can make your own jam as well in the Thermi. I know that I have a beautiful chia seed jam that I love to make that's refined sugar-free. So it's just a nice healthy alternative. So yeah, that's an option too. You can make your own jam and tell everybody that you've baked an amazing sponge and you've made the filling, the whole lot. Now, just one more tip to finish this one off. As you can see, we've got some batter in the bowl there. I pop it back onto my Thermi and pop my lid on. Must have your measuring cup on. Don't do it without it. And I just whip over to our function screen where we have turbo and, oops, sorry, going backwards. And I just hit 2 seconds. Put that on.
Rosie's going to put some lemon curd filling in it. Oh my God, that would be so good.
Yum.
Or passion fruit. The passion fruit curd. Oh, right. Yum.
Can you see how it's flung it all off the blades and onto the side?
Wow.
And onto the bottom. So now I'm going to be able to get in there with the spatula and I'm going to be able to get the rest of that amazing batter because there's quite a lot in there and I don't want to waste a bit. So that's that part done, Tracy. These are going to go into the oven.
Oh, awesome. So we'll come back and check in on you a bit later on. You've got some great responses there in the chat, and thank you so much for all those tips. Now, Belinda, I'm
good to go. Let's get go.
I'm intrigued. This is going to blow my brain. I've never cooked mussels in my life. Go for it.
All right. So I'm making a beautiful mussels in turmeric and ginger broth. Sorry, this is something that popped up on the screen. So this is a really easy recipe. I went and picked up some mussels. If you're in Ballarat, I called into Ballarat Seafoods today and picked up some mussels. They get them in fresh every Tuesday and Thursday. So I was actually lucky I picked up some today. So that's really good. And they're actually $13 a kilo. They're actually not expensive, so I'm just going to get started. I'm just going to continue with the recipe. Although I'm probably, somehow I got myself right to the start. I just want to be right at the beginning. So I'm just going to scroll down, start at step 1. And I've got some ingredients ready here. So I'm just going to grab them. So I am pretty fortunate. I have a few things in my garden that help me with this recipe today. So not everything's out of my garden, but a few bits and pieces. So I'm adding some spring onions, just cutting those into a few pieces. And we're going to chop a few things up here. I'm just going to throw in some garlic cloves. So it's a really aromatic dish. Now, kaffir lime leaves. I've got a kaffir lime in a pot and it is beautiful. Now, the next ingredient calls for lemongrass. And if you believe this, I actually grow this as well. If you think you can't grow lemongrass in a cold climate, well, I'm not a great gardener, but I grow lemongrass in a pot and I keep it under cover in the winter so it doesn't get frost on it. And it's actually doing really well. Now I'm going to weigh in some sesame oil. This is 20 grams.
Does it go fat or is it they're quite thin, the lemongrass?
Mine are fairly thin. I've only had my plant for a little while and I think it will get better. But to be honest,
that's all you need though,
lemongrass is expensive. Yeah. So if you're spending, $7 or $8 on a piece of lemongrass, I'm very happy. I'm just chopping up some ginger here. Just 5 centimeters. I peeled it and just chopping it up a little bit. And I've got, it says palm sugar, but I've just got coconut sugar. That's what I've got in my pantry. And now coriander. Now we've got, sorry, give me 1 second. we've got a new cookbook out that I'm just going to mention, and it's got me thinking about using everything. So less waste, more food. So this recipe calls for coriander. Now, I used some coriander the other day in chimichurri, and it's asking for coriander. So rather than go and buy a whole lot more coriander, I've just decided that I'm just going to use the stems up, because that's probably all I need. And they've actually got a lot of flavour.
Did you know, I learned that on MasterChef last night. They did the exact same thing. They used the stalks in one and the leaves. Yeah.
Well, I used all the stalks up in a chimichurri. I made a white bean dip and chimichurri relish. So I had some friends coming that were lactose free, so I didn't want to do anything that had dairy in it, and it was beautiful. So if you like the sound of that, it's on Cookie Do. Have a look. I'm just slicing up a little bit of chili just for the garnish, and then, sorry, it's a bit hard. I've got too many things here. Now, this little knife, owned as a consultant, says it's coming to the mix shop soon, and I have to say it's my new favourite. So it's called a paring knife, but it's actually a bit bigger than a standard paring knife. So it's a really good in between. Now, if you like lots of chili, you can leave the seeds in. You can take them out. Sometimes I take them out and just go, you can always add more chili, but if you've got too much, it can be a little bit much. Now, turmeric, I'm just going to grab a quick spoon here. And look, you could use fresh turmeric, but I've just got some ground turmeric, and the recipe actually calls for 3/4 teaspoon of ground turmeric. That's probably about right. Okay, so we're just going to chop up all those aromatics. 6 seconds, speed 8. So it's going to be a pretty fine chop.
No.
Here, but it's actually already chopped.
No one's cooked with mussels before, Belinda, so that's great.
No one has. Oh, awesome. Well, I hope you might try something new today. So I have a number of bowls for my Thermomix, and that's chopped everything up fairly well. And I do keep one bowl and lid for a lot of savoury dishes, and I tend to try and keep one for sweet. So I have got a bit of discoloration on my seal, not massive, but a good tip for that is if you get discoloration on your lid, just sit it outside on a table in the sun or anywhere that it gets sun out the window. Now I've just scraped that down and I'm going to re-chop it. Or actually it's going to cook now. 3 minutes. Let me just quickly put this aside.
So you've just popped all your herbs and aromatics in there.
So onion, garlic, chili, sesame oil, coriander, kaffir lime, turmeric, and they're just going to cook off. And then we're going to add some coconut cream, some stock, and I've got the mussels already prepared in the Varoma. They're sitting here ready to go. So when you get your mussels, I've just given them a bit of a scrub in the sink, and they have what's called a beard in them. It's just this little kind of hairy, furry bit, really, called a beard. And literally. And you just pull it and tug it out. Now, some mussels will already be prepared like that. You just need to check when you get them from your seafood shop or wherever provider that you're getting them from. It's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. So these are just all sitting in the Varoma, and they're going to steam shortly, and they don't take a long time. I think it's roughly 14 minutes with a stir halfway, and they'll be done. And then you just pour the broth over them. And I happen to make some beautiful sourdough today, so I might show you that when I serve up the mussels. But what I'm also going to do is get started with, I'm just going to move a couple of things out of the way so I don't have too much mess here.
Yep, take your time. So that's a great, quick, easy recipe. Sarah's made chili mussels, camping.
Actually really quick.
Yeah.
And they're actually really nutritious for you. So if you actually like mussels, really give them a go. I guess the rule of thumb with mussels is if they don't open when you steam them, you should discard them. So, it's kind of pretty simple. You just give them a go. Great with some nice crusty bread if you like bread. I don't know, they're just pretty easy. So
you could also use the broth for any kind of protein.
Absolutely. It'd even be nice to steam some fish with this broth, actually. Yep. You could actually have in the Varoma 2 layers of fish, nice to throw some, say, broccolini and some carrots in around the fish and actually steam some fish. There's a really beautiful recipe. It's one of my favorites. It's called coconut fish curry, and it steams fish while the sauce is cooking at the bottom. And we absolutely devour that as a family and always can't get enough of it. So that's really good. Now, it's only got 20 seconds to go. Now, just a little tip here, if we move the Varoma out of the way, at the top of your screen here, you've got a preview button. So it actually tells you what the next step is. So I know I can read one step, or you can go and get the 3 little dots and get your recipe detail, and that'll tell you everything, that's the whole recipe back to the beginning, and that'll let you know what's happening. Now, the next ingredient calls for coconut milk, but I had a tin of coconut cream, so I'm just adding that in. Now, that's just sort of sizzled it away, and it smells really good. The only bad thing about you all being online is you can't be here to smell how good it is. So I'm just going to add in my coconut cream. So it's just going to be a little bit richer.
A bit of cream on Mother's Day. What's a bit of more cream? That's what we're here for.
Ask for water. I always just go and fill my tin at the sink, and actually just enables you to clean that tin out just with the coconut milk that's still in there. So I always just fill that with water. Now I need just a little bit more. I'm about 150 grams short. It does really smell good. All right, that's a little bit more than I needed, but that'll be okay. So I've just got here my vegetable stock paste. This is just a standard recipe on Cookie Doo. It actually calls for chicken, but I tend to use the vegetable stock paste more than anything. And I now need just to place the Varoma into position while that's steaming. I'll just pop my lid on. I've just made a bit of a mess there. Find a tea towel just to... All right, so we're just going to get that steaming. The mussels are already done. So we're just going to pop that on for 7 minutes. And I'll just pop this aside. And then we're going to get started with our panna cotta. So the benefit for me having... Sorry
to interrupt. I was just letting Trace know that I do need to whip some cream, but I had to wash up before I did that. So you keep going.
You want to do that now, Adeline? I'm happy to jump to you to do that.
Yeah, maybe just while you're doing that. Is that all right?
Yep.
We're just going to do a quick cream whip up. It's so simple and it'll take no time at all. And then I'll be able to assemble and show you everything. So again, the butterfly whisk. And I've got a clean bowl. When you clean your bowl, make sure that these pins are super dry, well, completely dry before you pop it onto your thermi. We're going to pop that in. Back on here, it's asking us for 200 grams of pouring cream. Now, I know before I was a thermi owner, something like whipping cream, as silly as it may sound, I wasn't a confident cook at all. This would have been a daunting task for me. And not so much now that I am more confident with cooking, but the Thermomix played a huge role in my life in making me a confident cook and learning lots of new recipes, because I had a kitchen appliance that I knew wasn't going to fail me. And if I followed the instructions, I was going to get it right. And I love that about the Thermi. So 200 grams. The only skill that this takes is to watch it through the hole so we don't over whip it and make butter. So it's very easy though. We just keep an eye on it. So without the measuring cup, so that we can see in and onto, now, sorry, I'll just show you this. It's not actually selecting a time on this part of the guided recipe because it wants me to judge when the cream has whipped to my liking. So we're just going to jump straight over to the mixing speed, and that's already marked there for me at speed 3. And that's going. And while I'm waiting for that to whip, Tracy was asking me earlier to share a little bit of my story and how I became a Thermomix consultant. So I actually had my Thermi for 5 years prior to having the TM6. And my beautiful sister, Diana Pike, who's also a consultant, decided to earn her Thermomix and then said to me, hey, Ads, how would you feel about earning your Thermomix? And at the time, I was pretty happy to upgrade. And I wasn't really sure. I was a little bit hesitant. Anyway, long story short, I thought I'll give it a go. It's only 60 days. I've got nothing to lose. I bought an amazing business kit that came with a carry case, a thermoserver, baking nuts, some amazing accessories. I got myself a $125 Mix Shop voucher. So I got heaps of really wonderful goodies to get me on my way. Okay, I'm just watching that. It's almost ready.
You got to be quick. You got to be quick.
You do have to be quick. You can't get talking like that. I actually think that's done. And anyway, I gave it a go and I had the most amazing 60 days at the beginning of my consultancy. And I am still here 5 months later. And 2 months ago became a team leader because I just loved the culture of Thermomix. I loved meeting the other team leaders and the training that is offered, the business training. I just loved it. And here I am, and I'm feeling so blessed to be here tonight with some other team leaders and cooking with you guys. Here we go. Perfectly whipped cream. So easy. Like I said, the only thing I could have done wrong was to keep talking to you guys and get distracted. Which I almost did. So do you want to...
Okay, we'll pop back over to Belinda. Yep. Beautiful. Here we go. Now, oh, hang on. Yep, there we are. What are we making now?
We're good?
Yep.
Okay. The mussels are still steaming, and of course my other Thermomix just turned off right at the wrong time because I wasn't watching it. So I'm just going to come round. I actually had this in my week, and it's just taken a minute to sync to my cookie dough. Sorry, Trace. It's always the things that happen at the time.
Don't worry. I cooked the wrong product. It's okay. And I didn't push record until after I'd done it, so no one will see those mistakes.
Oh, look, I'm spreading some jam if anyone's interested in watching that.
I use the meal planner all the time, so I've had this in my meal planner ready to go. Now, this panna cotta is just delicious. So what I've done is I've actually just put some gelatin in some water before. Now, I'm just going to show you. I've just bought these standard gelatin leaves from the supermarket. Now, I'm actually just going to do half the recipe tonight because I've done half the recipe early today so that I can show you the finished product. And it calls for 2 gelatin leaves, but you need 4 of these ones because these are a little bit smaller than the titanium strength. So on the back, it does give you a bit of a guide that you need 4 leaves per 500 ml for a soft set. And that's what we want. A panna cotta is a soft set. So I'm just going to grab my cream. I normally buy the purer cream, but you know, there was none in the supermarket when I went the other day. So I just bought the standard cream, and I'm just going to pour in 300 grams. And you know, I did 300 the other day, and I thought I used half the container. And of course, it's never quite 600 in a container, is it? So I just grab the next one to make sure I've got about 300. And I can tell you that my my mussels here are smelling really, really delicious. Okay, so I've just poured in my cream, and it's asking me for some caster sugar. Now, rather than actual caster sugar, I just use raw sugar, and it's actually only 30 grams. I'm actually going to tip it in. I can sometimes be known for tipping too much in. Oops, and I have tipped a little bit too much in, but that's okay. Orange strips, so grab your orange, and I've taken some off earlier today. So I'm just going to grab my vegetable peeler. This is out of the toolkit. They're really great peelers. It's the best peeler I think I've ever used, to be honest. It's really sharp. It's in the toolkit. That's a free gift with purchase at the moment for anyone wanting to get a Thermomix for someone in their family. Cinnamon quill, I'm just going to cut this in half. And we're actually going to strain this. So it doesn't matter if there's little pieces in it. Now, juniper berries. Now, where's my little packet? Pick these juniper berries up to my local.
The toolkit's free this month.
Yeah, it's free with a new Thermomix at the moment. Juniper berries are aromatic that's used in making gin. It's quite known for that. So these little berries they look like this. So it says 5 juniper berries. So I'm just going to put 3 in. I'm going to grab my knife and I'm just going to push them so that they crush a little bit so that you can get their flavour out of them. And then I'm just going to pop that in. And we're just going to warm that. And it's going to take 10 minutes. But right now, I'm going to pop back to my mussels because they've just stopped. So it's asking me just to stir the mussels in here, make sure they're evenly, and they're just starting to open. They do need a little bit more. So they do need another 7 minutes. So I don't know what you want to do, Trace. I can actually jump ahead and show you the finished product of the panna cotta, or we can jump back to anything else that needs checking on for the minute.
Oh, that's okay. So how long you got on that one? 11 minutes?
I probably got 7 minutes.
Okay. So what we'll do is I can show you my things.
Because I've got the jelly already pre-made for the panna cotta and I can finish that. But
yeah, do that.
If you want to jump, do you want me to do that?
Yeah, I don't like jumping around too much. People get confused.
All right. So
the recap, we're waiting for the mussels to finish steaming.
The mussels are steaming. And what's happening now is the cream is heating with the sugar, the cinnamon, the juniper berries, and the orange. So what I'm going to do, I've also got the gelatin, and I've just popped the gelatin just while Adeline, I think, was making her sponge cake. I popped it in here to soften. So you just need to pop it in some cold water. Someone's in the waiting room, Trace. I don't know if you can add them in.
Oh, okay.
And so we're just going to add that to the cream once it's warmed, and then that'll be used to set the cream, and then we'll just literally mix it so that the gelatin dissolves. And then what you can do, and the recipe recommends this, is you pour it into a glass. So I've got a number of different glasses. So I've already made 3 today, and I've grabbed a couple of different ones. I can see someone in the waiting room.
No, I can't see on my end.
That's all right. I saw them on mine. I've just clicked OK. So making a panna cotta or jelly is really easily, you use the aromatics, you flavour what you've got, set it with the gelatin, cool it, and set it in the fridge. So it's something that you can just do ahead of time. And on top of this panna cotta, we actually have a gin jelly. So what I did with this one, and it's all in the recipe, I hope you've looked on Cookie-Doo and found it. It's orange juice, and it's used the cinnamon and the juniper berries again, and it's actually got gin in it. Now, you do cook it at a temperature, so if you're worried about the kids, just don't give it to them. It's actually a really beautiful jelly, and I've actually set it in the small rose gold tin. It was just the perfect size for this, and I've just lined it with some baking paper. So I've kind of got this little jelly, and what I'm going to do is actually just chop it into some little cubes. So just I'm going to bring it away from the edges. And I'm just going to run it in little strips. I mean, I guess you could leave the gin out if you'd like to, if you're worried about the alcohol content, and actually just use extra quantity of orange juice, and that would work just fine. You're still going to get the aromatics from the ginger and the orange and the juniper. Okay, so let's see how we go with a bit of presentation skills. Not sure how I'll go with this, but we'll just give it a go.
Looks pretty good from my end.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. The gel. I've already tasted the jelly. That's a bit of quality control, making sure that what I was doing was good. But it is a really special flavour, actually. And it's just one of those things that you can do ahead of time, and it's easy. So you can just get it out of the fridge and you're done. a little bit stuck to the paper towel. I'll have to try and get a nice photo of this at the end. So yeah, when you, I made the full jelly, orange jelly recipe, but when I did the panna cotta, I only did a half quantity this morning.
The beautiful thing about setting them in the glasses is if, like we all know, those unmolding moments when it's not quite set
and it doesn't come out.
You don't have to worry about it, and the presentation is beautiful, especially for mum. Like, go to that extra little bit of something special.
Seriously, and there's nothing worse, and I have done it before, actually getting, I'm just letting somebody in, just getting the things to unmold out of a mold for a panna cotta, and on the plate when you're ready to get this dessert out is stressful, and you actually don't want to have stress.
Yeah.
So if I just pull these back a little bit, you can see that I've got these, I mean, they're all different glasses actually, but just this beautiful little panna cotta with this orange jelly on top. So that's actually what the end result is going to be. So I did just make a set of the panna cotta this morning, and that's still infusing. Just another thing to note, the lights go red here when everything's hot and you don't want to touch the bowl. So it's just something to bear in mind, that if you've got little people in the household, make sure that they know that when the lights are red, you don't touch the bowl.
So basically, all you're going to do now is let that infuse, then you're going to add the gelatin, then you're going to pour them into the cups. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to mix it. And then it does say to use a strainer. So I would recommend, the basket's not going to be quite good enough for this because you need a fine strainer. You don't want any pieces of either gelatin or cinnamon bark that are in the mix. You don't want those in your bowl. So use a fine mesh sieve if you've got one. Even a little tea strainer would do to do that, that little task, just to make sure you don't end up with any. Yeah, a muslin bag would do, or nut milk bag, that would also do. So I'm pretty close to serving up these mussels actually. I'm just going to have a quick look, and I can see that they're pretty much all opened, and even the sauce has bubbled up through. Okay, these are going to be great. You're going to love these. All right, I'm just going to move these out of the way so I don't end up with mussels. I'm going to serve these up.
We don't want mussels in our jelly.
No, correct. So I've just got a couple of bowls here. I'm just going to grab some tongs to get these mussels out and show you how these look, because they do look quite spectacular. And the colour with the coconut milk and the turmeric, it's got a really beautiful colour. So it's only 20 seconds to go.
Have you made these before?
The mussels?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you're going to be excited sitting down to a nice big bowl of these.
I've made mussels before, but not this particular recipe. And I just thought, this just looks so good. And it was one of their feature recipes with the black Thermomix. And I'm sure some of you on tonight have got your black Thermomix. I know a few people have commented that. So, it's awesome. Now, don't forget that your lid becomes a tray so that you don't spill. So if I can show you that those mussels have all opened up. And, it's bubbled up here. But all I'm going to do is just grab some of these shells. So if they haven't opened, you're not going to want to have them in your bowl. I know you do get a lot of shell for what we get, but they're pretty special and they're really good for you, quite nutritious. One of my kids is on camp this week and he was very upset that I was cooking mussels and he wasn't going to be here.
I think if
the cold change is coming through and there's somewhere with no toilets, no nothing. So he was not going to be happy with me. Now, you're going to see when I pour this out, the colour of this sauce.
Oh, look how bright it is. Beautiful yellow. It looks yellow from our end.
Well, just with all the turmeric.
Yeah.
It'll help if I move the aroma out of the way. All right, there we go. So, I could add more sauce, but I've just added a little bit for the moment. Now, there is a couple of mussels that haven't opened. I don't know whether I should keep cooking them. I could try, but there's about 4 or 5 that haven't. So what I might do is pop them on for another few minutes I have to try that dish, Emily. Great. I'm glad somebody's keen to give it a try. That's the whole point of these, is that we might inspire you to try something new.
Well, they look absolutely awesome.
I'm going to go back, actually, and just show you. I'm just going to adjust the time, because you can actually just modify it. Just with the guided recipes, you can always adjust things and redo it. You can add steps in or adjust the time. So I'm just going to give it another 3 minutes and see if that extra time just helps to open those stemmed muscles. And if it doesn't, I will discard them, but I just thought maybe they needed more time.
Yeah, and at least then we'll know that if, you know, sometimes you can try them again and they might open, otherwise
absolutely.
Throw them out. Well, that's fantastic. So
now the other thing I might do, I've just about done my panna cotta, so it's just actually finished. Can you give me 1 sec? So I've just literally got in there the cream, and it's just warmed. Dissolve that sugar with the cinnamon and everything. So I'm just going to throw the gelatin in, and it's literally just going to blend it for about 20 seconds. It's only on a low speed. It's only speed and a half, I think, for 20 seconds. And just one little tip for doing something like this, I think it's actually quite good just to grab a jug or something like this and just strain it into a jug, and then I find it a bit easier to pour into, rather than having something over a glass when you're trying to have good presentation. If you just grab I've got a Pyrex jug here, and if you just strain it in, and it actually says to leave it sit for 10 minutes. Yeah. The recipe does say to leave it sit for 10 minutes, just to absorb a few more of those flavours, but I'm kind of just rushing through to show you that you can then just grab some glasses here, and then you can just fill your glasses. So these ones won't be ready tonight because they will need to set in the fridge, and they will take a few hours to set. But I've now got dessert ready for tomorrow night.
And your family is going to be very, very happy, I think.
Yeah. Well, if they're not, it's okay. It's more for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've done 4 with this amount. But anyway, I'm just going to make 3 bigger ones.
I'm sure they'll enjoy them.
The full recipe says 6, but that's actually pretty good. All right, that's pretty much me done.
That's fantastic, and it looks amazing. So, Adeline, can we have a look at your beautiful bread and your sponge cake?
Okay, so here's the bread. Hopefully everybody can see it. I'll move it a little bit closer. So you can see the little pumpkin seeds up there. And I'm gonna slice it for you. We're just gonna have a look in. Oh, looks a bit amazing, to be honest. Here we go. So there is the beautiful.
Oh, that looks yum.
Seed bread. Ladies, you could eat that whole loaf for breakfast, lunch or dinner, guilt-free, and that's the kind of snack that I like.
Yeah.
And I am a little bit intolerant to wheat and gluten, so something like that isn't going to upset my tummy. However, I do sometimes like to indulge. Here is our beautiful.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
So pop some raspberries on top. I put way too much jam, but no one's going to complain. The perfectly whipped cream in the middle, and a bit of icing sugar just to make it look super pretty. And
Adeline, that looks stunningly beautiful. What a beautiful gift for Mum.
I know.
That's perfect.
I actually was thinking I'd love to deliver this to my grandma, and my sister's actually coming up on the weekend, so I might even make her up one and she can take it to her. I unfortunately won't be able to see her. And this little cake stand, can I just mention that I just got this from the mix shop this week. I've been eyeing it off for ages.
It looks beautiful.
And it does look beautiful. It's actually only plastic, and it's a turntable. So if you're doing
it'd be great for cake decorating.
Yep, if you want to decorate and everything. But I think this looks really beautiful. I would serve that.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
That's beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Well,
I hope you enjoyed that.
We did. Thank you very much. Well, I've got my sponges. I haven't got sponges on the thing. I've got my quiches out of the oven. So here are my small ones. They're in the small tin, which are on the mix shop. So they're a good size. They're a good luncheon size. And this is my beauty.
Looks great, Trace.
Beautiful.
So what you do, you let it rest. So that's been resting for about 10 minutes. Now watch this.
Amazing.
Done.
Straight.
So if you haven't got a quiche pan yet, make sure you get one.
Yeah.
It smells delicious, absolutely delicious.
I'll take some photos, Trace, of what I've done so that we can send them out in the email.
Yeah, absolutely we will. And I'll show you what's left. And I mean what's left of my acai bowls. So this is the nice flat one. See how it's all decorated, nice.
Beautiful.
And I didn't eat it.
Delicious. I love that.
It was like they were waiting on the other end of the camera. Yep, I'm ready for that right now. Okay. So, look, thank you, Belinda. Thank you, Adeline. It's been an absolute cracker of a class. I want to thank every single person for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. I'd love for you to pop in the chat. What's one of the best tips you got tonight? What's something you're going to make? And maybe some ideas that you might want to see in the future. Now, all of us here at Vic West, we're really big on learning and showcasing, not just the Thermomix, but teaching lots of tips and tricks and things like that. So keep in touch with your consultant. We do have classes coming online all the time. Somewhere in the branch, at least once a week, there's something going on. So we've had lots of good response in the chat. I look forward to seeing you all at our next class, and we'll be sending out an email to you all tomorrow. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
Just bring everyone up. If anyone's got any questions or anything they'd like to ask, feel free to pop off mute and say good night.
215 companies in the country. Yes.
I'm going to taste my bread, Trace. You taste it.
Yeah, good idea. Class on snacks. Actually, we were thinking of doing that this week. Now we're doing an Asian Varoma class this month, my team.
Oh, that sounds good.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll share that also on the branch page. Yeah, snacks is another one we were thinking of doing. So it will be coming your way, ladies. Just keep in touch and we'll definitely see you.
Awesome. That is amazing, Trace. It is really moist.
Yep.
Tastes delicious. Yep.
Yum. I'll have to,
you wouldn't believe there's not a flour or self-raising flour or something like that. It's just that yummy. The almond meal.